And just for your information, to say it ahead of time, is when Karl Barth, often kind of a culprit in this whole kind of thing, what he said is, at the volume where he treats election and all that, he says, I've surveyed all that I'm aware of the entire history of Christian theology. And he says, I apologize for what I need to do, but I found nothing adequate to the testimony of Scripture. Not one kind of systematic treatment that added up. And he apologized for it because he regarded himself as someone who was doing theology in the church, by the church, for the church, and therefore should build on what's gone before. That is, their others' interpretation of Scripture and seeing what it adds up to, their maps. But he said, I don't find anything anywhere near adequate to the reality they find in Scripture. That's where he started. In other words, Barth wasn't trying to be a Barthian. Torrance wasn't trying to be a Terentian. Calvin wasn't trying to be a Calvinist. Luther wasn't trying to be a Lutheran. Like most of these now, some people are. They're trying to create their isms. But many throughout church history, that's not what they were trying to do. And they would be bizarre. So if anybody says to you, they're a Barthian, you know right away they aren't. Because Barth wasn't interested in anybody being a Barthian any more than anybody else. And do you think Paul would say as well, I'm a follower of Paul? Does that remind you something? No, I'm Apollos. So these kinds of name calling don't get us anywhere, right? If your thought happens to be along the lines of somebody, that doesn't tell you anything. So Barth wanted, as it were, to kind of update things and kind of restate things for his time and his place based on what's gone before. He looks it all over and he says, I'm coming up empty here. So I apologize, but I'm going to have to start over again here. So here it is. That's how Barth started. Okay. And that's how we had to start. You survey it and you see what adds up best. And of course, Barth did want to start with, he's realized Christ has to be the center of this whole thing.